Last weekend, voters in the European Union elected a new European Parliament. Around 400 million people were eligible to vote and choose their new MEPs. And because people sometimes make strange choices, some of the politicians they chose are quite bizarre indeed. In today's video, we take a look at 10 brand new MEPs who are, to put it very mildly, somewhat special people. Their actions have often already raised eyebrows here and there, and they are pretty much guaranteed to stir up European politics not only in Brussels. Brace yourselves, because chances are you may well lose the last remnants of your hope in humanity by the time this video ends. This is Jan with Prague Pulse, and if you like our content, don't forget to subscribe. Let's dive in. 10. Galato Alexandraki. With number 10, we begin in Greece. Galato Alexandraki, and that is Galato, not to be confused with Gelato. She is 76 years old and is now a retired cattle breeder in the Greek city of Alexandroupolis. While that in itself would probably not be considered a typical CV of a European politician, it is actually not the most surprising thing about the new Greek political star. What got her into politics and onto this list is the fact that very little is known about her. Miss Alexandraki never ran a political campaign we might consider traditional in today's terms. She did not use social media, did not pay for leaflets or billboards, and made very few public appearances. That went so far that her face was actually not known to the public until very recently. This is actually the portrait Politico used in their article describing her. Since then, a handful of pictures of Alexandraki have surfaced, but I mean, we cannot really say for certain that it is actually her. How exactly she got elected, given her anonymity, remains a mystery. Greek media say that she is well known in the area where she lives, plus she was number 1 on her party's list. By the way, it probably won't surprise you that even less is known about her political views. All that we do know is that she ran for the Greek Solution Party, which is labeled as ultra-nationalist by experts and advocates things like building an electric fence on the Greek-Turkish border to stop immigration. Alexandraki, for her part, has still not even confirmed that she will take up her seat in the European Parliament and declines to speak to the media. Number 9. Grzegorz Braun. At number 9, we return to the region that Prague Pulse primarily focuses on, but we very much remain on the right side of the political spectrum. Grzegorz Braun is a Polish politician for the extreme right Confederation Party. He loves Russia and has been repeatedly praised by Kremlin propaganda. He hates Ukraine and is quite literally a Holocaust denier. He once called Jews the enemies of Poland and considers being a Jew equal to belonging to a satanic cult. That may be why he once set a Hanukkah menorah on fire.
Panie pośle, co pan robi? Panie pośle, co pan robi?
As far as destroying religious symbols, he is not very picky as to what religion the symbol represents. Apart from the menorah, he also destroyed a Christmas tree. Why? Well, the tree happened to be decorated with EU, Ukrainian, and LGBT flags. Makes total sense, right? Number 8. Filip Turek. We remain in the region. At number 8, the Czech rising political star, Filip Turek. He loves cars. Yes, who doesn't, right? But Turek loves them very much. That is so much that he collects cars that cost nonsense amounts of money, about which he never forgets to brag. He also founded the Czech Jaguar Club, and never stops talking about having been a racing driver. In Formula 4, to be precise, which you most likely didn't even know existed until now. And because he is responsible, of course, he wears a helmet while racing. Doesn't really matter what is printed on said helmet, right? Even if that thing printed on the helmet is the logo of a neo-Nazi political party. Must be a coincidence. Just as it definitely is a coincidence that he collects artifacts from the Third Reich, or that he sometimes, but just sometimes, makes a Nazi salute in his free time, of course. In any case, this all was apparently an appealing image to the voters, as his party unexpectedly came third in the EP election in Czechia, even surpassing some long-standing political parties, even those in the governing coalition currently. He campaigned on issues the European Parliament has nothing to do with, such as whether and when Czechia should join the Eurozone, or he promised that he would put a stop to the European Green Deal, which is pretty much impossible now. Number 7. Milan Mazurek. With number 7, we have yet another nice guy who recreationally lifts his right arm, the Slovak extremist Milan Mazurek. In the past, he claimed that the crimes of the Third Reich were only fairy tales and lies, and that false information is taught about Nazi Germany in schools. His former classmate also claims that he went around beating Roma children in his youth. In 2019, Mazurek made history by becoming the first ever Slovak MP to lose his mandate after being convicted of a hate crime toward, you guessed it, the Roma community in Slovakia. And now he has been elected an MEP. Lucky for him that Brussels is such a homogeneous city. Number 6. Ilaria Salis. At number 6, we kind of move to the opposite extreme. Ilaria Salis is a 39-year-old Italian teacher and an anti-fascist activist who was accused of attempted murder by the famously liberal authorities in Hungary. In February 2023, so more than a year ago, Salis attended a demonstration against a neo-Nazi gathering in Budapest and was detained for allegedly trying to seriously harm or even kill members of the far-right gathering. The incident sparked international outrage against the Orbán government when Salis later appeared in a courtroom in Budapest with her arms and legs in shackles. In April 2024, the Greens and the Left Party in Italy put Salis on their EP electoral list in the hope that, if elected, Salis would be freed, given the substantial legal immunity from prosecution that MEPs enjoy. Indeed, Salis got more than 170,000 votes in Italy and was elected. Later, because of that, she was also released from her Hungarian house arrest just a few days ago, for that matter. And she spent more than 15 months in custody. Number 5. Helmut Geuking. Germany is no stranger to bizarre politicians being elected to the European Parliament. This is largely because, unlike other elections held in Germany, there is no minimum share of votes, also called a threshold, that parties need to cross to get a mandate in the European Parliament. So that means that only a handful of votes is actually enough, often, to guarantee you a cozy life in Brussels. This also means that quite literally, family parties sometimes qualify for seats. Helmut Geuking runs one of those. The party is called, aptly, the Family Party. He has already been an MEP once before. The Family Party won a single seat in the last EP election in 2019. While an MEP, Geuking valiantly defended family values for all Europeans. However, in February 2024, Geuking resigned on his mandate and nominated his son as his own replacement. This was clever on two fronts. First, by nominating his son, of all people, Geuking Sr. stayed consistent with his party's name. And second, He knew already back then that he would seek re-election in June 2024. By stepping down, he immediately became entitled to a hefty transitional allowance from the European Parliament, which is essentially goodbye money for MEPs who leave. And unsurprisingly, Geuking Sr. is now being accused of not so covertly using that money to finance his re-election campaign, which was successful, by the way, because he was indeed re-elected and will now return to his old Brussels office in less than a month. Call that a family business. Number 4. Daniel Obajtek. With number 4, we return to the heart of Europe. Daniel Obajtek made it to the list because he is apparently very good at rapidly rising the career ladder, thanks to the former Polish government of the Law and Justice Party, or the PIS. With that, he also very quickly became one of the country's biggest oligarchs. Consider this, while in 2015, Obajtek was only an inconsequential mayor of a small Polish town. In only 3 years, by 2018, the PIS government named him the CEO of Orlen, the oil giant that is one of the largest companies in Central Europe. Orlen runs oil refineries and gas stations in multiple countries, owns a range of energy assets, and is listed on the Fortune 500. It is also in practice a state company, because the Polish state is the majority stakeholder. As such, it also gets to name and dismiss its CEO. Suddenly, Obajtek had an enormous influence, infinite budgets, and he also owed a lot to the PIS government, which installed him into this golden-plated position. And I mean he owed them a lot because, thanks to the PIS, he now also owned a lot. By 2021, a total of 38 properties belonged to him, according to available data, and he acquired the properties rather quickly. This included apartments, pieces of land, and even a seaside guest house. So it won't surprise you, most likely, that Obajtek gladly used Orlen as a tool to do the PIS government's bidding, mainly to buy off and silence opposition media. Because with Orlen being owned by the government, whatever belonged to Orlen now ultimately also belonged to the government itself. Be sure to check out one of our previous videos on how the Polish PIS government limited media freedoms in Poland. In 2024, when Donald Tusk ousted the PIS government, Obajtek was promptly forced to resign as well. And now that he's moving to Brussels, he could maybe, but just maybe, use the MEP salary, which is substantial, to expand his collection of properties. Number 3. Ivan David. Now we move to the top 3 on our list. The Czech far-right senior citizen and MEP Ivan David will hardly surprise anyone with his CV. A medical doctor by trade, he first tried his luck in politics in the Czech social democracy. However, he has never been particularly successful. After a short stint as health minister, he repeatedly ran for all positions you can think of. He failed to get into all of them: the Czech Regional Parliament, the Czech Chamber of Deputies, and the Czech Senate. Disgruntled, he then left the left-wing Social Democracy and joined the far-right Party of Direct Democracy, or the SPD for short. But, unfortunately for him, not even resigning on his value compass and spreading conspiracies on behalf of the extremist SPD was enough to make him successful in politics. He again failed to get elected to the regional parliament, senate, and the chamber. He finally succeeded in the 2019 EP election, and that mainly, most likely, because the disastrously low turnout in Czech EP elections usually favors fringe candidates. Now he got re-elected for the second time. What's interesting, however, is that whilst in the EP, David has voted against his own political group, the Identity and Democracy, 4,406 times, which is staggering 41% of the time. And that naturally begs the question, does David even know what he is voting on or how the voting process actually works? Number 2. Diana Șoșoacă. If there has ever been a single sentence that is entirely sufficient to describe a person's character, it is probably this: being named the politician of the year by Putin's Russia. And that is exactly what happened to the Romanian darling of the Kremlin, Diana Șoșoacă. She is really the whole package. An avid anti-vaxxer, she won a seat in the Romanian Senate on the ticket of the right-wing Alliance for the Union of Romanians, but has since been expelled from that party, from that extremist party, for being too radical. Yes, you heard me. And so she later joined a party considered even more radical, the SOS Romania party. And she really is radical herself. In 2021, when interviewed by an Italian journalist, Șoșoacă kidnapped said journalist and refused to let her go because she had reportedly asked questions about the COVID-19 pandemic. Șoșoacă was naturally a denier of the pandemic altogether. The journalist was reportedly physically abused by Șoșoaca's husband and was only allowed to go after the Italian embassy in Romania intervened. It doesn't end there though. In 2021, a banner was displayed at a protest commemorating the 1941 White Fountain massacre, in which Soviet troops killed thousands of Romanians trying to cross from the USSR to Romania. And the senator apologized, yes, you guessed it, to Russia. After the Russian full-scale war of aggression against Ukraine began, she has taken her love toward Russia to a whole new level. Not only does she stand on the side of the Kremlin, of course, she also demanded that some parts of Ukraine be annexed by Romania. Her consistent work against the interests of the EU and NATO, of which Romania is a full-fledged member, is likely why the Kremlin named her the Politician of the Year. Quite an award. Number 1, Petr Bystroň. Coming at number 1, we have a true European at heart. Petr Bystroň was born to Czech parents in communist Czechoslovakia in the 1970s. And because understandably his family did not want him to grow up under oppression, they chose to migrate to freedom and fled to West Germany. Which is also why, as a successful politician in Germany now, Bystroň campaigns on a staunchly anti-migration platform for the extremist AfD. But again, the story doesn't end there. As you probably expect by now, Bystroň has also been a friend of Russia, or rather of Russian money. As we have described in a previous video linked above, the extremist politician has been implicated in the scandal surrounding the pseudo-news outlet Voice of Europe. As Czech counterintelligence uncovered, the website was being used as a tool to bribe and control European politicians, including Bystroň himself. It now even appears that Bystroň acted as a sort of coordinator of the influence operation on behalf of Russia, for which he accepted hefty amounts of money in cash as a bribe. There is even a recording by the Czech authorities in which Bystroň accepts around 20,000 euros in a suitcase. But he also complains at the same time that the 200 euro banknotes which he got would be difficult to get rid of, because many places in Germany do not accept payment in such a large denomination. Why? Well, because historically those have been used by corrupt people, much like Petr Bystroň. The politician now stands under investigation and is also said to have used a fake address in Munich, where he also accepted payments from Russia. Now, be it as it may, with his recent election to the European Parliament, he now enjoys immunity from prosecution, unfortunately. The immunity can be lifted, but that will most likely take several months. And in that time, Bystroň can continue helping his Kremlin friends pretty much undisturbed. So that was it. As you see, some of our new representatives in Brussels are really bizarre. Not all people on our list come from the region Prague Pulse focuses on, but most of them are somehow connected to it, and their actions will certainly influence the heart of Europe. We will definitely follow them during their mandate as well. If you want to stay in the loop, don't forget to like, subscribe, and come back for more. This has been Jan with Prague Pulse. See you next time.